let's get up on our feet, and we're going to give Sean a welcome because he's grown his list to over 100,000 people. Feel free to tell everybody about everything. Let's welcome Sean.
So I'm actually only here for comedic value, and we're going to talk about lists a little bit today, and really how I grew my list, why I grew my list, and some strategies to help others grow their list, because it truly is the one thing that can really kickstart our company, kickstart what we do, sell what we have, and be able to engage people. And so, as Mike said, I've grown my list to over 100K. It's about 150,000 at this point. Going higher, going lower, I always clean it, and we'll go through some of that. But before we get into that, just a little bit about my background in reference to this, because it might make this make a little bit more sense for you. But I've spent over 30 years in IT, in technology. I started a high-tech company, started it, scaled it, sold it, and then went back into doing corporate stuff. So I've led IT teams for Chevron and some very big companies within the country. So I've spent a lot of time in IT. And as Mike said, back in 2019, didn't really have much, was just starting out on my own venture. And one of the things that I knew I had to do what I wanted to do, the way I wanted to grow my business, was to grow a big email list, grow a massive list that I controlled. Because based on my first company that I sold, that was such an important thing. So I knew I had to do that, and I wanted to start doing that. Just thinking, well, that's just what everyone does, right? So never really thought about my email list. I mean, I never really thought about talking about it. It's like, yeah, that's just the way it is. That's what we do. That's how we make money. That's how we sell. That's how we do things in what I do, until this event. So this was earlier this year, and I got asked, and we'll actually go into it a little bit, but I got asked by Joseph McClendon III to come speak at one of his events, and it's the Further Faster Challenge. And you can see there's some pretty big names up here. You got Joseph McClendon, you've got Les Brown, Malcolm Jamal Warner. I'm the smallest fish in this sea right here. And so we go through the event, and I realized at the end that I actually brought in more people to this event than they did. And I thought, well, isn't that strange? And I started talking with Joseph McClendon a few months ago, and he asked me, how did you grow your list? How did you do this? His list is not the size of mine, and he's a very big, in my space, he's a pretty big name, right? And so I started talking with him. He asked me to help him grow his list for his personal stuff and for his Neuroencoding Institute. And then I've also taught this to his elite coaching. So he trains people to coach based on NLP. And he asked me to go in and help them grow their list, because again, we can have the best service, we can have the best product, we can have the best of everything, but if you can't get in front of people at a reasonable price, you're not going to make money. You're not going to be able to succeed. So we've got to be able to get our word out effectively. So this had me thinking, it's like, okay, maybe this is something that people don't really utilize or don't really see. So I thought, again, trust me, this is very unplanned. This is not what I coach on, so this is very rough. Deal with it. So we're just going to go through this. It's not eloquent. It's not. It's here. So we'll go through this. Where am I? So why build a list, right? Why would we want to build a list? And one of the things that Mike always says is marketing isn't about closing a sale. It's what? It's about opening a relationship. That's what you can do with a list. You don't have to sell to your list. This is how I build my relationship. This is how I build my community with my list, it's through the list, right? You can't necessarily do this with just like advertising. You can't build those things without a lot of money through advertising, through social media, and we'll get into that. But so I put this up here just because obviously this book just came out. Alex Hormozy, one of the things in his new books is having a lot of leads makes it hard to be poor. Leads, right? That's what your list is. Your list is leads. Very warm leads, right? So if you have a large list, you are not going to go poor. This is how we market to our people. So building an engaging list is probably the most effective way for people like us to sell, to provide our services. This is the most effective way to do it. And I've developed a very cost-effective way for me to grow my list. And that's just what I'm going to share with you today. How I did my list, how I grew it, how I got engaged, and how I actually started to monetize it. So there's two ways. Well, there's multiple ways, but one way is the way I'm going to show you, which I think is a smart way. And then we're going to go over things like Alex Hormozy talks about. You can do it with brute force, right? You can go into a market, you can just brute force, pay a ton of money, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a day, market, and you can crush it, right? That is one way to do it. That's not the way that I chose to do it. I chose the relationship side. I chose to develop that list and to nurture that list. So a lot of you have probably heard this. If you've been in marketing for any amount of time, and it's the rule of 7, right? And it is, you have to be in front of someone. You have to positively see your product or your service at least 7 times before they will make a purchasing decision. At least 7 times. And I think it's actually more than that now with social media. I mean, I think it's really 12 to 14 times. And this approach is expensive. If you do it through ads, it is very, very expensive to do this through ads. To get in front of eyeballs 7 to 12 times with an ad for a product is, you're going to be putting out $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a day. You can do it, it's just not the way I chose to do it. And again, so unless you have a very big budget, I choose not to do it that way. But that is not the case when someone gets something of value for free, right? I have found that someone will give me their name with one view, with one ad, if it's massive value for free. People are willing to give you that for that, right? You're not selling to them, you're giving them something for free. They will give you their email for that. And while social media is a great place to connect and grow your list, my number one goal was to get someone off the social platform and onto my list. My goal has always been on my list. I don't care how many followers I have. I don't care how many people are liking my posts. I really don't care, because that is not giving me, with my model, any money. I do not monetize off that. It's very hard for me to do that. And if you're trying to do it with social media, you've got things like the algorithm. Very few people see what you post on social media. And especially if you do anything like a call to action to sell something, the platforms know when you're trying to do that, right? What's their goal? Their goal is to keep your eyeballs on their platform and to make money. So if you're trying to make money off their platform, they know it, right? They know it. The second you post it, even if it's embedded in a graphic, trust me, they know it, and even less people will see it. It goes against what makes them money, right? Unless you pay money to boost it, unless you pay money to do ads, they're not going to see it. So it's very unreliable. And then you have, how many people in here have known someone who had someone's account was banned? They got kicked off. If you're relying on your business on one of these platforms and you get banned, that's your company. It's gone, right? It's rented space. If you do anything on social media, it is rented space. So what are the benefits of my email address? Well, one, I control who and when. When I send out an email, that's under my control. I become my own platform. I run my own algorithm, right? I'm in control of that. Now, I can't open it for them, but I know that it's in front of their eyes. Nurture relationships. The magic of compounding interest. When you build a list, it's like compounding interest, right? I pay for them to get on my list once, but over and over again. I drip content, value, over and over again. Like right now, I know every single week, if I look at my stats, I have 80,000 people open one of my emails. Every week, 80,000 open on an email. So I know, and I paid for them one time, right? I don't send them ads every week. I'm not paying for that. one time and over and over and over. Provides personalized content. And I'm going to go through this. It's like a choose your own adventure book, right? When you get someone on your list and you know a little bit about them, you can now provide content that's in line with who they are. Increase engagement and revenue. It builds trust and loyalty. They see stuff from you on a weekly basis or however much you stay in contact with them, and they become loyal, right? They become friends. They become people who trust you. So here's my journey for my email list. Again, when I met Mike, 0 people. I had nobody on my email list at all, hadn't even started. By 2019, like towards the end, hit about 15,000 emails on my list. And it was starting with my $5 a day ad strategy. And I'm gonna go through, that's one of the things that we'll go through. And then by 2022, I grew to around 50,000 with collaborations and effective SEO. We're gonna tap into that. And then by 2023, I reached over 100,000 emails, and it's really with providing valuable content for them. It's quizzes, ebooks, challenges, things that add value to problems that they are having. So how did I grow my list? How did I do this? All right, so people are very busy, and even more so now. People are very busy. They want stuff very quick, right? They want a quick win of value for them to sign up. Offering free content such as quizzes, ebooks, challenges, webinars, provide very quick and solutions for your target audience, and you have to provide something that is a problem for your audience. If there's a problem that you can solve very quickly, they will give you they will sign up. They will become part of your tribe or part of your community for that. In the past year, I have found things like my challenges and webinars don't convert as well right now. People are their attention span is actually getting shorter and shorter. So 2 years ago, challenges were very big. I got a lot of people that were opting in for challenges and webinars. Lately, that's even getting lower because people are going to pay you with 2 things, either money or time, right? Money or time, and their time is very valuable. So I've found quizzes. I found very short things, workbooks, like the 5 steps to do X, Y, Z. Those are actually converting better for me now than challenges and webinars. Let's see. It's been better. So basically what I'm trying to do is get people onto what I call my value ladder. So I've got a value ladder. I've got my free content. To get people engaged, I start dripping on them. I start adding value, get them into a challenge or a webinar. From there, grow them into the next ladder, which would be a workshop. From there, it gets them into the next ladder of being like either one-on-one coaching or through a mastermind group. So I've got a value ladder for people to go on once they get within, once they're part of the community. There's a place for them to go. There's always a next step for them to go. Now, one of the biggest things I hear when I talk about, especially a large list, is, well, yeah, I would rather have a very small 200, 300, 1,000 person, very engaged list than 100,000 list. Yes, but you have to have quantity to get quality. This is a numbers game. It really is. You have to have the quantity to be able to get the quality that you want. It's like, for instance, we're all here today, right? We all have something in common, right? We all have something in common, but that doesn't mean I'm going to resonate with you or you're going to resonate with me. But I'm going to let you decide. I'm not going to be the one that says, yeah, I don't resonate with them, so I'm not going to bring them in, right? It's like, if I only went up and talked to people that I know I was going to be friends with in the future, I would be lonely, right? I've got to talk to many people to get the ones that are really part of my tribe, that are really part of my community. So here's, again, my number one goal for the last 4 years has been get on my list. Get within my community, get on my list. I'm going to start adding value to you as my number one thing. And so the top portion of this is the type of content that I use for people to come in and to add value to my people. You know, it's again things like quizzes, checklists, ebooks, challenges, blogs, anything that you can do to add value to a problem. Any solution you can have to add value to a problem that they're having. And today I'm going to go over two of the best performing methods that I've actually used and that I have. One of them is paid advertising, but smart, not by brute force. And then we're also going to talk about SEO, a little bit about what SEO has done for me to grow my list. It's a very low cost way to really engage the people who align with what you have and what you do. And again, so the last 4 years, I have done what I call my $5 a day social media. And it's a minimum of $5 a day. But so for the last 4 years, except to like maybe 2 months ago, I stopped for various reasons. But for the last 4 years, every single day, $5 a day, ads. Cup of coffee. Every single day, a cup of coffee, running ads. It's $150 a month. Boom, 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 boom over time. But here's the thing. It's to free content only. I never run ads to a product. I never have. Well, I take that back, and I'll get into that a little bit. So I do run some ads to products, but it's much different than this. So only to free stuff. That's all I do, just free ads or ads to the free content, ads to add value. Because again, I can get someone on my list for 12 cents, add value to them, but if I have to do ads for a product, it's going to take multiple times. The ad cost is going to go way up, and I don't really get anything. I've lost, for the same amount of money, I could get 25 to 50 people on my list and start adding value to them, start dripping on them to 7 times, right, as I can to sell a product. So it's just much more effective to bring them on with free content. Next thing I do is create a lookalike audience. This is one of the best things that I did. After my list got to, I don't know, about 15,000, I created lookalike audiences. And that's, Meta does it, so for Facebook and Instagram. So every quarter, I upload now the 40 to 50,000 best performing emails I have. I have stats on everything. So I take 40 or 50,000 of the best performing. You can do this with 5,000, 10,000. Meta will create a lookalike audience for whatever region, for the whole world, wherever you want, that is within, I do mine 1%. And let me tell you, they know more about you than you do. They know more about your audience than you do. So if I give them a list of, let's say, 40,000, they'll match those names up if they're registered in Facebook or on Meta, and they will create a list of people that are within 1% of what they do. They look just like them, right? My ad spend for the free stuff dropped in half when I started doing lookalike audience. So it's an extremely targeted way to get in front of the people that are like the people who are already actively within your community. And again, I only run it for free stuff. Stay consistent. Again, for the last 3 to 4 years, nonstop, I'm always running it. Sometimes I'll get 100 a day, sometimes I'll get 2 a day, but it's nonstop, always running. And then also change it up. You know, change things up, test new things, test new downloads, test new free content. Keep that fresh and see how things work. Right, so always keep it fresh, always keep it going, never stop, just keep it going. It will pay off. Number 2, SEO. And I actually ran into most of this by dumb luck. I had no idea what was going on, but it was actually working very well. So what I say is borrow from other people's tribes, borrow from other people's influence if you can. There's people who have big audiences that look a lot like the audience you want. Go get them. Go steal from them, right? So one of the things that I do is I am a Tony Robbins certified coach, and I'm also every year I do a Think and Grow Rich workshop. Once a year, every year, I do a challenge and a workshop, Feeding America. I love doing it, passionate about doing it. And I kept seeing times where I would get 500 people on my list in a day. I'd have 1,000 people on my list one day. And I was like, it doesn't match any of my ads. It doesn't match what I'm putting out. Come to find out, if you go to Google right now and type in Tony Robbins and Think and Grow Rich, I have probably 2 or 3 things on that first page right up front. Right up front. And what does Tony mention in every UPW, in every business mastery? He mentions Think and Grow Rich. I can tell you within 10 minutes whenever Tony Robbins mentions Think and Grow Rich. And again, this is by dumb luck. I did not do this on purpose, but once I found out, I'm like, oh, now I get SEO. Now I see how it works and why it works. Podcasts. Now, here's the thing. Me personally, I have not found my podcast itself to be a list grower for my list, right? I have not found it to grow my list very much, but rather a door opener. It has allowed me to open doors. As an example, the speaking thing I did with Joseph McClendon III, I had him on my podcast. So he was on my podcast that opened that door. We started talking. He invited me to that event to speak. That all grew from the podcast. Now, I didn't see numbers grow one for one because my podcast was out there, but again, it opens doors. So to me, it's very important for me to keep my podcast going because of what it does. It's a long game. It's not a short-term win. It's a long-term play for getting in front of the people that I want to get in front of. One of the other things that I do, again, I want you on my list. So whenever I promote my podcast, I send them to my page that's got an embedded player on it because, one, I want the Google Analytics. All these people are now going to my page, and they're not going to Apple. They're not going to Libsyn. They're going to my page. And then I do exit pop-ups. How many people hate exit pop-ups when you're on a site, right? They work. That's the thing, they actually work. So anytime someone comes to my podcast that's through any of my promotions, obviously if they find it through Apple and stuff like that, then that's fine, they go to Apple. But now I get a chance to get them, what? On my list. I'm not going to promote them to go to someone else's site. Always come to my site, get on my list, right? Number one thing. So offer valuable content. Here's stuff from webinars, from quizzes, and I'm actually go through that one. The Think and Grow Rich Challenge, collaboration. So I think it was last year or the year before we had for the note-making mastery, Jeff Brown, yeah. So Jeff did his note-making mastery thing. So I did a little partnership with him. Again, had him on the podcast. We did a partnership. I did stuff for him. So that's doing with partnerships. Whatever I can do to add value to my tribe, to my people, I'm going to do it. So creatively, whatever I can do to do that. So here's one of the best things that I've done for creating the list on multiple fronts. Again, think outside the box. Right? Think outside the box. This is a quiz that I've done. Again, I'm a Tony Robbins certified coach. I have the right and the ability to do his 6 human needs test. I've completely automated it. So I use this as exit pop-ups. I use this as various things. I'll actually do this in an ad. So this is one of my paid ads to go to this free thing to find out about yourself, right? But here's the thing. So not only do they sign up for my list, but they go through this quiz. And I know if their biggest need is growth. I know if their biggest need in life is certainty. I know if it's uncertainty. I know what drives them at a level that will make them do things, right? So what do you think an email is going to look like sending to someone who I know growth is their number one thing? If certainty is their number one thing, as I said, it's like a do your own storybook, right? So when they sign up, get as much detail as you can from the people that are signing up, because you can use that for targeting, for marketing, and for connecting. So when I send something to someone with growth, I show them, here's how you can grow through this. Here's how you can do this through growth. I show them in their own driving need that's what the email is going to look like, or that's what the content will look like for them. So once you have a list, using your list. It's important to use your list, right? So here is an example of one that I sent out. This is for the one for the event with Joseph McClendon III. But track your engagements. So once you have your list and you're starting to do things, you're starting to engage with them, you need to really track your engagement with these. So here's an example one. I like to keep my engagement between 45 and 65% open rate. That's getting a little harder with Apple, but in general, I want it at 45 to 65% open. To me, that's good. I know I'm consistent. I know it's fairly good stuff. Yes, so here's the thing. I know I can do better copy. I know I could do better, graphics. I know I can do better things. But for now, 45 to 65% is good. And again, this is an email that I sent out for the Further Pastor Conference. Now, I only sent out one email for this. And again, I only sent out one email for a reason. I'm going to talk about that, something to keep an eye on for yourself. But again, this one email, 125,000 sent, or 120,000 sent, 49% open rate. So I know 59,000 people opened that email. They physically clicked on it, opened that email. Got more people to that event than Malcolm Jamal Warner? How is that possible? I was flabbergasted. I'm like, there's no way. I just don't understand this. So again, after I agreed to, so here's the reason why I only sent one. After I had agreed to speak at that challenge with them, I found out that they were only going to do affiliates after the event, right? They were going to give us an affiliate link after the event, and I'd already sent out one email, I hadn't sent out an email yet. I found this out, and I said, okay, I'm only going to send one out because here's the thing. I knew for a fact, what are they going to do in their challenge? They're going to make their pitch. They're going to make their offer for their service, right? And it kind of irritated me a little bit. It's like, okay, I knew that I was going to lose that, so I only sent out one email, and I got all this from a single email. I would have had this would have been a 5 or 6 email campaign when I did. Okay, so target email campaigns. So here's the thing. I only want to engage my list as much as I have to. I do not want to spam you. I do not want to send you a whole bunch of stuff. I just want to send out as little as I can to get my needs met for what I'm trying to do. So here's the mastermind I opened up with Mike this year. I only sent that out to I think 4,500 people out of that list. Based on who they were, based on what I know, I only sent it out to 4,500 people. I overgauged that a little bit, but still, this gives me the ability to now go send to another, if I want to open up another mastermind group next month, right? I can send out to another group of people without spamming the people that already saw the email. So I'm not going to send it out to 150,000 people if there's 12 spots available, right? So I try to be mindful of the people that are on my list. Keep it clean. If people don't resonate with your content, your free content, the services the stuff that you're providing for them, let them decide. Don't decide for them. Let them decide. So I look at the people who are inactive. So here at 94,000, I had 8,200 inactive. They're gone, right? And it's not personal. But some people just don't resonate with my stuff. I'm okay with that. That's fine. They just don't resonate. But keep your list clean. And there's various reasons for that, because lists get very expensive. So 150,000 lists is going to cost you anywhere between $1,500 and $2,500 per month for MailChimp, whatever it is, whatever platform that you prefer. So it's to your advantage to keep your list clean. So how have I used my list this year so far? I did not start monetizing my list until this year. I did no monetizing. I grew up for several years, started monetizing it this year. My podcast. In 2023, we have hit the top 30 entrepreneur podcast on iTunes on their charts in 52 countries. 52. I have people from all over listening. It's from the list. 100% of this is from the list. Again, partnerships throughout the podcast. Jeff Brown. We've got Joseph McClendon. So I do different partnerships within the list. And then for the first time, I did a proof of concept for me for a launch. So this was a very eye-opening thing for me. So earlier this year, I did with 2 email sequence. I did 1 email, and then after the second email, I had 1,500 people sign up for the live webinar that I was doing, which I freaked out. I'm like, 1,500 people, how am I going to manage this? So I got Lisa and Robert and Jim. They actually came in and they actually did moderating for me on that free webinar. They came in, we did it, sold 50, I maxed it at 50 for the live workshop. All 50 were sold. Literally within 2 or 3 days, all 50 of them were sold. I recorded it. I repurposed all that content. I now have a course up here for this that's going to run for the rest of this year. And so far this year, this one thing has made over 6 figures, which is not a tremendous amount. It's not game changing. It's not going to change my life. It's not going to, but I know the concept works now. And here's the thing, 0 ads. I spent 0 ad spend for this product. None, right? Matter of fact, last week I did a little back to school promo. Kids are back to school. Kids are back to school. It's time for you to learn. Little, 3 email sequence. 250 people signed up. All to my list of people that I add value to consistently over the year, over the several years, right? And again, if they don't like what I have, they're either going to not open it, and I'll know to take them off, or they're going to unsubscribe, and that's fine. I initially provided them some value that helped them, but I'm going to let them decide, do they want to stay on my list? Do they want to continue receiving the stuff that I send? I'm going to let them do it, right? Why would I not let them make the decision? So, get on my list. Let's connect. If you would like to connect, I'd love to talk with each one of you, help where I can. Again, I don't normally teach this stuff, but I thought it was something that was important for the people here, because I know that we can do some of the best stuff, but if we don't have the back end to support it, people aren't going to know. They're not going to, or we're going to pay a lot of money for ads. And this, since Mike opened the door about his height, I thought I would do this. If me and Mike played sports, I would be on the winning Astros team as Altuve, and then Judge. You open the door. I had to put that in there. But thank you guys, thank you. And again, I would love being here. I wouldn't miss these things for the world. So thank you.